Well, hello and welcome. If you have landed here, you have landed at the Be On Air Forum, and we are very excited to have you with us here tonight as we welcome our guests from Encore Global. We are just very, very excited to offer you a little different take on tonight's forum. Tonight, we're going to be talking with three of the hiring team at Encore in Cleveland, Ohio, and just getting a feel for what it's like to be when you're looking for a job, how to really zero in and focus on landing the job. The Be On Air Forum, for those of you who may not have joined us before, is brought to you by the Be On Air Network of Media Schools, which is Ohio Media School, Illinois Media School, Colorado Media School, and Miami Media School. Together, the 7 media schools offer our students and graduates an opportunity to continue to grow not only while they're in school, but after they're completed. And we welcome our extended community to come on board, meet with employers, grow your network, and have an opportunity to learn more about the things that really drive your media curiosity and the things that will help you grow what it is that you're looking to do in your career. So, my name is Linda Lejeski. I am the National Employer Relations Representative for the 7 schools. The Be On Air Forum is a career services initiative, and what that means is at each of our schools, we have a career service department that's in place to help our students and graduates work towards landing that job that is of great interest to them at graduation. Our guest today, Encore, they're a wonderful employer partner of ours. They have been for several years. Many of our students have gone on to be employed by Encore in the live event space and have grown beautiful careers, full-time careers that have taken them to many places across the country. All 7 of our campuses have active Encore sites, so we're excited to have this team together to talk to us about how to go about landing that job and how to be effective in that job search. So, without further ado, I am going to also introduce you to Tony Lopez, our instructor out of Illinois Media School, our education coordinator, who is also a podcast host and a part of our national branding team. He's going to lead this hour with lots of questions and good information that's going to help you to land the job. Tony, I'm going to say take it away and welcome everybody to the Be On Air Forum.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for being here. For those of you that are in attendance, we want to remind you that we are going to have a Q&A session at the 45-minute mark of our hour. So that's 6:15 Central Time, 7:15, of course, Eastern Standard Time. And if you're on the West Coast, that's 2 hours prior, so to our Central Time. But we will have that segment for you guys. So please either hold your questions or you can put them on the chat and we will get to them as soon as we get to our session. We're going to welcome Robert, Sheridan, and Caleb. We are so thankful for you guys to be here today. We love Encore. We've done a lot of things with you guys, and you guys have talked to our students in the past years and months and so forth. So an awesome relationship to have with you all. We're just happy to have you here in this hour. I promise not to bore you guys. Okay?
I doubt the course.
But again, thank you for coming in. We'll get started here right away. Obviously, this forum specifically today is just we're trying to talk about the process of landing a job at a live event industry, right? Something that's not such a common industry per se, but it is there, it exists, and there's a lot of things that go around the country, around the world, in a platform like this. So. Caleb, I'm going to start with you here real quick. First, can you please talk about Encore and what it is exactly that you do there?
Sure. Well, Encore is a full service live event production company. We have partnerships in hotels. We have a standalone production company. We help exhibitors. We do it all. As far as that goes, there are so many opportunities for people to come here, to land here, and to find a place to call home.
That's awesome. And, in regard to, I guess, the customer service aspect of it, there's more than one thing that you guys offer, I'm sure, when it comes to the services. Can you go a little in depth on what those services are? Robert or Caleb on this?
No, that's fine. The services, we have we have exhibit services. We have we do large scale events. We do virtual. We do trade shows. So we do a whole aspect of different parts of the live event. We're in, you know, 80, we have 80 years of service. We're in 21 countries around the world. So Encore's got a big footprint out there. But like I said, there's a lot of different roles within Encore. I mean, we always preach that, you can start out as a technician, and from there you take it wherever you want. I mean, the tools, the know-how is provided, helped, and really, if you're passionate about what you do, it's not endless.
Yeah, I mean, one of what many industries have many different opportunities, and that's one thing that we preach to our students is that you're going into an industry now that has a lot of different job positions. It's not just one sole thing that we used to see back in the day, especially for a platform such as yours. So definitely can see that when it comes to Encore in itself. Sheridan, what role do you play in Encore?
Yeah, so I am the operations manager here at the Intercontinental Cleveland. So on my end, I handle labor and then sourcing equipment for all of our events that we would have in-house.
Awesome. So again, I'm sure a very important piece to the puzzle when it comes to Encore. So you guys are a well-oiled machine out there. As we talk about Encore, right? You guys are pretty big, have a pretty big reputation in this industry, and you guys are looking for people that will push the company forward and provide great customer service. So Robert, I'm just going to start with you here real quick. The job process, the looking for a job, right? That's obviously a very intimidating thing when it comes to students or anybody that's looking for a gig of sorts. So quickly for you, Robert, what tips would you give for someone who's applying for a position like this? And I guess the networking side of it, right? And you're applying for positions, you're trying to get foot in the door and know people, but how would you approach it in something like this?
I personally think that, if you're looking for Encore, really dive into the website. Look, our website is very vast. It shows a lot of things that we do. It talks a lot about our culture, what we do, what we look for as a company. And I think if you look at that and can get through some of the videos and you say to yourself, okay, this seems like, or this is something that I really want to pursue. I think that's the main way. Obviously, look online. I mean, Encore is in many different publications. You see our name mentioned in LinkedIn a lot. We do a lot. So we do a lot of. We do podcasts as well. So really, Encore name's out there. But I would really recommend, if this is something that you're passionate about hospitality. It's not for Encore. I think it's much more than the audiovisual. I think that's just part of what Encore is. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and really one of our credos is we're in the hospitality industry. We just happen to do AV. So, really, if you are passionate about working with customers and taking care of customers and being able to guide people, customers, our hotel partners, our team members, then this is industries for you. If you're looking for, something 8 to 5, 9 to 5, I would recommend maybe try a part-time position, try an intern position, go that route and see if you like it, and then then move forward with your career.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, there's options, right? There's options to what you're saying, and you have to definitely, lay them out and find out what works best for you, without a doubt. Sheridan, I'm going to go to you on this next question. The idea of resume and cover letter seems so almost antique sometimes, but it is still crucial to getting a job. Why is it so crucial, especially for a company like Encore? And how would you present it to students or people who are trying to get a job? Is it this traditional, the same standard resume and cover letter that you will see out there, or do you guys look for changes within those applications?
Yeah, we look for changes, especially in stating what you've done in the past and your experience, rather. Like, we need to know that you either have a background, even if it's not technical, more like hospitality. Like myself, I come from a restaurant background, if anything, but that's still in the hospitality field. So we just kind of look at that. Attention to detail, like if you have a past experience that requires a lot of attention to detail, and we just kind of look at that and then kind of follow it through there.
Yeah. Do you encourage applicants to customize their resume? That's one of the questions that we always see a lot of. I guess artwork and besides the annotations, do you encourage that, or does it really matter? Do you want to see exactly what they've been doing?
More exactly what they've been doing. I don't think the pizzazz means as much as it looks cool. Rather.
Yeah,
Small for colorful, but yeah.
I look at a resume and it's more about what's on that paper, not, like I said, not the scented paper, nothing flashy. I think the biggest thing is getting them in the door, getting the interview set up, and then just spending some time with them to find out really what their experience is, what they're looking for. But yeah, just I look at, I like the normal resume. They do go through a whole hire view process once we get the resume. So it's, it takes them through and asks some questions about job, what you've done, and different experiences that they have. And they're on camera going through, a lot of different questions. And then we see those once we get their application, so we can actually see them talk, how they express themselves. Obviously there's nerves there, but it's like a first step of getting in the door.
And I'll ask you both, and Caleb, I got a question for you in a second, but for Sheridan and Robert, when you guys are looking at this, there's another aspect to this that we always preach on campus, and that's demo reels, right? Or audio demos in itself. For you guys, is that something do you look for as well? Are you looking for some demos, some visual work?
I don't receive a lot of those demo reels. I mean, I've seen probably over the last 3 or 4 years, I've probably gotten 2 or 3, to be honest with you.
Okay.
They just don't do it. Would I be open to seeing some of the work? Absolutely. But I think also with those demo reels, until you're face to face, you're not sure who's really producing them. You want to say, yes, I'm producing those, and this is what I did. And then that's great. And then, we're on site, we're talking about stuff, and then just a blank draw. It's like, wait a minute, I'm going through your demo reel. This is you, and just talk more about it. And that's where they freeze up, or again, you want to make sure that it's about them. So, but I don't see a lot of them.
Gotcha. No, that's good. Caleb, I'm going to go to you next here. We're talking about the interview process and getting through that intimidating, I guess, stage when it comes to finding a job. I know you're a director for event technology and so forth, but when it comes to the interview itself, right, making the first impression is huge. A lot of students, like I said, they'll be in my office and they're asking me questions, on how to approach the company manager or the worker there. So what are the things you look for in presentation? And that means just, as they come in, attire, what they're saying. What are the first things you look at when you're talking to somebody who's interested in your company?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm looking for the person that I can put in front of my clients, in front of my guests, in front of my hotel partners. And what that means is that I want to see somebody who looks like they care about this job, about working here in my building. A person who can walk up to me, offer a handshake, offer a smile. Somebody who has just dressed, not even dressed apart, even just a polo and some slacks. One thing that we look at here, in our hotels is, does anyone stick out? Does anyone look like they don't belong here? Or more so, how do other folks here who are working at the hotel dress? What's their attire? How they're presenting themselves? So if you walk into a hotel and you look at that front desk, you're just going to see a person in a button-down shirt and a tie. okay, maybe you should wear that to your job interview if you're working with somebody at a hotel. Just kind of look the part. And again, the friendly approach, the smile, a handshake, and sort of an eagerness to get connected and to start to work.
Do you recommend suit and tie all the time?
No. I don't recommend that. That can be overkill.
I had that
but,
question here.
But listen,
I had to ask.
we had a guy show up for an interview last summer. He was kind of wearing sweatpants and a backpack. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready to work in this job. Maybe some other job, and that's fine. But when you walk into a hotel and you see what people are wearing, people who work at the hotel, what they're wearing, you should kind of try and engage that. At least something with a collar, some shoes that have a shine to them. Just look, well put together, look professional.
Sheridan, I'll go to you on this question. When coming to an interview, we always say be prepared, right? But sometimes you also have to maybe bring items with you, right? That can go from resume to a notepad, right? What are the things that you would recommend somebody to bring to a resume to be prepared for the interview?
Yeah, resume for sure. I mean, that's probably something I'm going to have in front of me and looking at it while I am speaking with this person to ask them about specific points of their experience and everything. A notepad, I feel like, would be pretty decent just in case you want to write anything down. And I would say also the questions are probably one of the most important things. I know I've been talking to people before and kind of maybe like a half interview, and they just don't really have anything to add at the end. And it kind of, to me, it shows a little bit of lack of preparedness. Even if the simple Google, I know back in college, they had us Google a simple, a question for post interviews. And what the first one that comes up is what does a typical day look like in the role? Even if something as simple as that can really show that you're engaged and then that it's a professional manner.
No, that's good. No, absolutely. You got to definitely be prepared with different items for yourself. And also to represent yourself as well. You want to always be prepared. That's good. That's good stuff right there. Robert, I'll go to you next year. A lot of the times during interviews, you're answering questions as a candidate. You're answering questions all the time. But there is a part of the interview where they ask you, do you have any questions for me? Right. And so I guess I don't want to ask you what questions would you ask, but I guess how would you, counsel a candidate to handle that situation when that question pops up for them?
I think for the first or initial interview, I think that myself as well as the interviewee, we both have walking with questions. I mean, I think once you see someone's resume, and the resume is great, but I think for me, I like obviously going to, because we work in a lot of different hotels, was going to a quiet spot, be able to step away where there's no distraction, and then just start really, for me, the biggest part is just communicating, not necessarily about the resume, but more about them as a person. If I can get them to talk about their life, what they enjoy, I mean, a lot of those aspects are what, as a company, as a culture, we're looking for as well from our associates. So, I have a list of questions that try to put them at ease to talk about just anything else. And then, like I said, I'm hoping that they've done their homework as well. Again, it could be questions about, we talk about, what kind of rate you're looking for. Obviously, that comes at the end, but be prepared of, know what the industry does, know a little bit about the industry, because this might be you're stepping into something that could be long term. So again, I don't expect everyone to have a million questions about Encore, because I do want, when I step away, I would say, here's my business card, here's my email. You're going to think of something on the drive out of here. Call me, let me know, send me an email. I'm happy to walk through any other information you might possibly want about Encore. This looks like it's a two-way street for both of us. We're both partnering together.
Yeah.
Could I add to that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. One question I'm surprised that I almost never get. People never ask you about their coworkers or their potential coworkers. No one ever says, "Hey, tell me about the people I'm going to be working alongside, the people who are going to become my teammates. Can you tell me about them?" No one ever asks that, and I think that that's a good question to ask on an interview, whether it's here, whether it's anywhere else. Who has the experience? What are their backgrounds? Where they come from? Where they enjoy? And that can help you, as someone who's walking in for an interview, kind of get a gauge for whether or not you're going to fit in with that team, or whether or not they're going to be a good group of people to work with, or not.
Yeah.
Great point, Caleb.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Caleb, I'm going to actually stay with you here.
Okay.
In the midst of this process, as we're breaking down the interview process, eye contact, posture and body language, nonverbal communication, all that is so important, right? And so, what would you tell someone to consider, right, when sitting down in front of somebody and answering all these questions, how to handle all those categories?
I'll say your best bet is to be yourself. Your best bet is to be natural. Take into account that I'm looking for your best professionalism, but to some degree, if you come in and you act professional, that's not who you are, or if you conduct yourself in such a manner that isn't true to who you are, eventually your you is going to come through. And what you want to know as a person who's interviewing with me is, are we going to get along? How are we going to relate as potential employer? So the more comfortable you are, the more that you can be yourself and answer the questions, very, very true, very honest, the better chance you have at knowing if you're going to connect with the person you're interviewing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, makes sense to me. I hope my students are listening very, very well today. Robert, I'm gonna actually go back to you here real quick on my next question. After the interview, the follow-up is something that's so key, right? Something that we really do, preach to our students and know how important it is. And so that follow-up is very huge. What type of follow-up do you look for in a candidate after the interview itself?
I think for me, it's always nice to get that follow-up email or follow-up text. It can almost be recap some of the smaller things that we spoke about, which very, very rarely happens. Usually I'll get the letter. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I look forward to talking to you shortly. And that's great. But I mean, like I said, I like the letter. I like the correspondence after. I like setting up a time frame. And that's something they do ask also, which most times they do, is when can I expect a correspondence back from you? And I think that's a great question. We're not one. I try not to be one where you let it float out there for 2 or 3 weeks with no response. You ghost them. You ghost someone after the interview. It's always good to set up the parameters of, I'll respond to you in a week. Let's get together and we'll see where it goes. Or hey, can I call you and set up a second interview? A lot of the interviews that we do are first interviews, and then we'll pass them around to, maybe they're going to a different property that we work out of. So maybe it might be another second interview with that actual location that they'd be stationed at. So we'll set up that. But I love the response after.
Yeah, very good, very good. Sheridan, I want to talk a little bit about culture and just knowing a company, right? A lot of times people will apply, and I've seen it. I'm sure you guys have as well. People don't really know where they're applying. They're applying for a job, but they don't know exactly the culture or about the job, right? And so speak to the importance of that, the culture of the company, knowing the company. How important is that to you guys as employers?
Yeah, I feel like during your first steps of researching into Encore, you're kind of shown, like, we have a whole purpose, missions, values statements that lists off our 5 values, like, right away. It's like, value people, deliver world-class service, and seeing the bigger picture, everything. Like, don't be afraid to ask about those. Those come up like right away. Those are huge for us. And then, I don't know, just not being afraid to ask about that. I feel like that's a really important thing that people may not think about. I think that kind of goes along with, like, what Caleb said earlier about like kind of asking about your coworkers, asking about the company's culture. Like it might seem a little not as common to ask about, but go ahead and do that for sure.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I know for a fact here when we talk to students for any job, if they're applying at a TV, radio station, or production house, they should know who the anchors are, who the hosts are, on that channel or on that stream or whatever it is, right? It's very important that they know who is there because you may get asked that question when it goes there. So you're absolutely right, Sheridan. It's very important. And it's one mistake that we're kind of talking about here. And Caleb, I'm going to you on this next one. Mistakes. A lot of them are made during interviews, right? A lot of them are made prior to the interview and even after. So can you talk about some of the common mistakes you've seen and how they're avoidable?
Yeah, the big mistake that I see because my hotel is downtown. We're in the middle of downtown. If you're not used to coming downtown, nobody allots enough time for parking and then to walk here. So we constantly have guys showing up 10, 15 minutes late for interviews. And the thing is, most of the time when they're coming to interviews, they've already got my number. They've got my email address. And best thing you can do in that situation, call me and tell me, hey, you know what? I'm not used to being downtown. I just found a parking spot. I'll be there in like 10 minutes, but you can call me. That actually is so much better than showing up late because it tells me that you know how to communicate with somebody who is potentially in a supervisor role. That's the big thing. Another one is not dressing appropriately for the role. And then, of course, the third one is just not interviewing or not investigating and knowing enough about who we are as a company and kind of what we do. But yeah, the big thing, especially downtown, is showing up on time.
I had a gentleman that I worked with in Washington, D.C. that used to tell me that when we were interviewing, if our candidate showed up 15 minutes late, he just said, and the person shows up, he says, we're not interviewing today. So it was like a cutoff period of like 15, 20 minutes. And I think we've softened up over the years with that a little bit, but he would be like, okay, if you're not going to show up on time and no communication, don't bother. There's other candidates that are here waiting. They're 15, 20 minutes early. Maybe this isn't quite the right job for you. So, it can get harsh. And that's part of, I think that's part of our culture too, is everything's time management. I mean, we work in an area where everything is sort of spec'd out to the minute, the hour. So time management plays a big role in what we do on a daily basis. So it really, if you can master that, there's a lot of things you can master that. But really, time management is huge.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, you got to be prompt. And our students should know that. I get on them as well. And then I'll be getting emails after this. This question's for any of you, if whoever wants to pick this one up. Social media. It could be a great thing for people, and it could be the death of them, right? And so it is so important. And as we tell them here, but you guys, know clearly how important it is. I won't even ask the question. I'm just going to ask you how important social media is, and you go get them.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, LinkedIn is a great tool, but that's a tool for business. It's not a tool for it's not a tool for showing your politics. It's not a tool for it's not a dating app. It's something that we as all business professionals look at. We'll read posts, we'll look at stuff daily that comes up, and but it's just whatever you put out there, you have to know it's going to follow you. I mean, and we, I really try to be careful of, I don't post a lot of stuff, or I don't put a lot of stuff on social media because, like I said, I'm always a ambassador of my company. After being, I've been with Encore for 21 years. And it's like, There's just certain things that you just don't do. Again, so having a social life and putting stuff on your Facebook or whatever it is, your X or Instagram, that's great. That's great. But just know that you can't get rid of that stuff. So just, knowing how important that is, or important tool is, for me, I think it's huge.
Yeah, as a company, we have a pretty concrete social media rules. Our technicians end up in ballrooms and meeting rooms with sensitive material, sometimes with high profile people, and sometimes it's just not appropriate to share the things that you see and hear in sort of a private setting with the rest of the world. So that's why we have those ironclad rules. And I don't want our job to not be fun, but there are things that I would tell my employees, please don't share this, outside this building. We do some events where people pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to come here and sit in a chair, and I can't have you, sharing this information on for free on social media. So just, I ask my guys to just be careful about this. Don't let the post, ruin the rest of your career.
I'd say too, it goes beyond like what you post. And now a lot of social media platforms, you can see what you like what other people like, and that is a reflection of you as well. So just you'll hear it a million times, be mindful of what you're doing, even if it comes to liking or commenting on certain things that could be taken the wrong way as well.
Yeah, that's key. That whole liking thing is very true. You can see what people are liking now too. So, and it's so ironic, it's so crazy because back in the days, right? I'm gonna give years, but before social media, you didn't have this access to people prior, right? You just had the initial contact conversation, and so now you're an open book if you're on social media, and that really does determine from what I know, and I know you guys know, it kind of can deter somebody from getting a job, from getting a gig. So all the points that you guys made were very, very important. So guys, watch what you're putting on social media. Okay. I told you this, but now they're confirming it. Okay. I'm telling you. I'm trying to have some comedic relief because I know some of them are like really mad at me right now. So as we continue the conversation here, we're here with Encore, Robert, Sheridan, and Caleb. Thank you so much for being here with us. Again, at the in about 12 minutes, we're going to open up the session to a question and answer session to you guys, where you guys can ask questions to our panelists here about anything you want. They will answer it. So be prepared in 12 minutes as we get to that point. Rejection is can take a toll on somebody, right? In any facet of life. But when it comes to a professional opportunity, getting rejected can be a hard thing. And so I'll go to you first, Caleb. In regards to this, what's a good way to handle rejection in a situation like this, or in an opportunity that somebody may potentially have and then not have it because of whatever it was?
So you're talking about a situation where somebody's applied for a job, they've done an interview, and they're not the right fit, right?
Correct.
I would say this. You need to focus on going where you're wanted. If you apply somewhere and you interview, and the person that you've interviewed with, the company you've sent that resume to, if they just don't think you're the right fit, then you go where you're wanted. You find somewhere else that's a better fit for you. And it's tough, but it's better to keep looking and find the right thing than it is to go to a company that is on the fence as to whether or not they really want you. So take it as a good sign that you have an opportunity here to find the right thing.
Robert, anything to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, I think that those are great answers, and I think we also, as an interviewee, like to give some feedback on what maybe they can do to next time a job is posted in our area. Maybe focus on this type of maybe another job, or maybe join another another job or another place where you go to get the experience. It could be maybe an internship. I've hired people who were not experienced at the time, come back in a year and said, This is what the 3 or 4 things I've done. It's like, I appreciate you going, getting the additional experience that you needed, come back and said we've hired them and their career flourishes. But it's no today, but it doesn't have to be no forever.
Yep. Sheridan, were you saying something, Sheridan? No. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just, Gotcha. Rejection is part of life, obviously. And many greats, in any industry have been rejected before and were able to bounce back. So most definitely good advice there. In interviews and in this whole process, there's always different questions asked, right? And you guys are kind of a specialty type company, right? To where you guys are doing events and so forth. And I guess when it comes to tough questions, what kind of tough questions would you guys, I guess, what would you consider tough in an industry that you guys work in? Like what kind of questions would you ask? And if that makes sense. Robert, I don't know if Robert, you had.
Yeah, I think the questions that we ask that we try to get the answer to is, we try to dive into someone's the challenges as far as customer service. Tell us a time when, tell us a time of something happened and how did you dealt with it, and maybe how did you learn from that. So those are questions that people have. They really try to skate on, like, I don't want to say anything negative, I don't want to put anybody out. But I think the honesty and really is how they followed up after. It tells us really about that type of person and how they are as a person, and how they perceive themselves. But again, there's always I think there's really there's not a lot of tough questions they could throw. I mean, they're as long as you keep it very professional, that's our job, is to do our research too and be very honest. I mean, tell us. I think it's nice talking about our background and to get them talking, but we just have to answer the questions honestly. And if I don't know, come back and say, let me find out for you. I mean, we do that as a company. It's like, hey, if I don't know the answer today, I'll get it to you before either the interview's up, or I will get back to you and let you know what it is.
So basically, it's just nothing too uncommon from what you hear in a regular interview. You're trying to just figure out how does somebody handle specifically a tough situation and whatever You guys.
I'll jump in there. There are really 3 things that we need to know about folks: is how are you going to handle my clients, how are you going to handle my team, and how are you going to handle my equipment. That's what I need to know. Do you know how to operate the equipment that I'm asking you to operate? Are you going to be okay solving problems with some of the clients that you may have? Can you think on your feet and troubleshoot in the moment? And how are you going to be with the team I already have here in the site? Those 3 things are what drives a lot of my questions in the interview process. So when I'm asking questions, when I'm asking, give me an example of whenever, blah, 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 what I want to know is, can I trust you with my team members? Can I trust you with my clients? And can I trust you with my equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are good questions for what you guys do, especially that last one. The equipment part is very, very important.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Sheridan, when it comes to just anybody, right, applying for any jobs, employers have some expectations or things that they want to know, and so I feel like a job life balance is in effect when it comes to that. What do you guys expect from your candidates when it comes to that? When it comes to the availability and what they can offer for the company?
Yeah, I mean, availability is definitely a factor going into things, because events happen throughout the week and it's not a Monday through Friday type deal. So if someone can't work weekends, that could essentially be an issue, especially if we have big shows going from Thursday to Sunday. And yeah, that's to work-life balance. Looking for someone who's open, essentially, not necessarily like your whole life doesn't have to be about work, but like at least communicating that ahead of time. If you have a vacation coming up, let us know well in advance, and just taking the initiative to make things known beforehand, communicate properly.
Right, and for some added context, you guys are open to, somebody who's continuing their education, somebody who, does want to work maybe overtime, just different, I guess, different situations that pop up. You guys are always open to something like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I
for
mean,
sure.
one thing Encore does too is, like I said, we understand that our roles can be seasonal. I mean, we look for opportunities to, when associates come on, to move them to other locations locally. We have offices, so being a large company in Columbus and Cincinnati, Kentucky. We're really looking for, one. We're looking for a person who we won't burn out, because we understand this industry can be, April through July can be just hectic. So we try to watch those signs. We have weekly meetings about schedules, and move people around for work-life balance, or really just like I said, for the burnout. We know it's real. So we look for ways to take care of our associates, because like I said, they're taking care of us. So like I said, there's opportunities and different avenues that we have that we can help all that with.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, one of the, I think all those things are so important when applying for a position. And again, we know how intimidating this any interview can be for any student that's coming out and trying to get that first gig, or if they've had multiple gigs, it still can be an intimidating factor. So these were all good points that you guys made. I wanted to go around the table here before we get to our Q&A session here, and I wanted you guys just to give one last piece of advice for someone out there that's trying to get a gig in the industry as a whole. We know the media industry is not your normal industry. We know that the media industry is a very far and few from people that want to be in here, and if they're in here, it's because they're passionate about it. And so, one piece of advice to candidates out there that are trying to work in the media industry, what would you give to them here in 2025? As it's changed. The industry has changed so much, especially after COVID. We'll start with Sheridan.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just networking. I mean, even from a standpoint of here, we have so many repeat clients. I find myself just speaking to them again and again, and now I know some of them kind of like friends. So it's huge nowadays. And then we were just talking about social media. Social media is huge as well. With LinkedIn, makes it exceptionally easy compared to years ago. Now I could just kind of look up anyone, shoot them a message, and then boom, we're connected in some way. So, yeah.
Awesome. Robert?
For me, I think that whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. If you're looking for a career, Encore is the place. If you're looking for a longevity, I think it's a great company to work for, and you just have to be flexible, but be true to yourself, and again, really want to work in this industry. It's definitely technical, but it's a lot of hospitality. Excuse me, and really, it's taking care of the customer. We could be technical, and you have the greatest technical skills, but if I can't put you in a room with a CEO or a customer, otherwise you'll say the wrong thing, or you could say the wrong thing. Then there's people I can train. Mm-hmm. So again, you gotta love hospitality.
Very nice, very nice. And Caleb?
Yeah, Sheridan's point, the networking is so important. Whether you are, or what we do with live events, or whether you're in broadcast, these industries are their communities, and the best way to get hired and to move your career forward is to just to know your stuff and be a good person to work with. Nobody's going to refer you if you're tough to work with, but if you have a good attitude and you walk in, you want to help out anybody and everybody, man, people will find out who you are, and you will rock it through your career.
Man, I'm ready to go. That was really nice. Caleb with the smooth delivery but strong words. Very nice, very nice. We really appreciate that. Well, we are at our Q&A session here, where we go back and check the comments and see if we have any questions. I know that Linda does a good job of popping up these questions for us, so we're going to go right to it. On the screen, Bad Hollywood says, think back to the resumes you've seen in the last couple of years. What was there one that truly stood out? Was it the personality, the technical skills, or something unexpected that caught your eye? I'll open the floor to any of you.
Yeah, I'll take this one. We did some hiring last year, and I got a resume from somebody who um, they didn't have like direct experience in what we do, but they had a compatible experience from another industry. And this person did a great job of telling me how their experience somewhere else made them a good fit for the job that we were hiring for here. And I was really impressed by that they took time to understand the type of person that we needed, the type of work that we do, and to tell me about how they would work out for me, even though they didn't really have any audiovisual experience. I was really impressed by that.
Very nice, very nice. Robert, did you have anything?
No, I think Caleb I think it's spot on. I think, we look at the experience. Obviously, we look at experience. We look at what you've done, but just really just put. Even if you don't think it applies, sometimes those are the ones that we key on and see. And it's like, wait a minute, this does work in our industry. So never be afraid to put something down on paper or talk about, because you never know what that jars, because it could jar, like this wouldn't work over here, but this would work with Encore over here. So again, it's not just also technical. We hire sales managers. We do sales. So there's a lot of different facets that we're looking through as a company that skill might be applicable somewhere else.
Very good, very good. We do have another question in the slot here. I'll wait till Linda pops it up. There it is. Another question here from Celeste Barr. She says, how do you translate your previous experience into the media world, like healthcare?
That's a good question. That's a great question. I would say that a good employer, whether it's us or someone else, a good employer always has intent to hire for personality and train for skill. So if you walk in and if you have experience in healthcare, tell me about how you handle the tough times. Tell me about how the demands that were placed on you and how you handled them. I imagine being in healthcare is the demanding place to work. So tell me about the demands and how you handle them. Tell me about if you were hands-on with patients, how did that do? I mean, listen, we're around people all day long. We're around clients all day long. It's not really that difficult to translate working with someone in the care setting versus working with somebody in the hospitality setting. Am I right? Am I right, Bob?
I agree. I mean, I think the healthcare industry is such a passionate job that, bring those skills to what we do. Like I said, we can teach you the technical side of what we do, but those are really what the skills we're looking for. Again, if you care, that's like I said, that's a hard job to work in. So, we're definitely looking for the same type of character in person.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry, absolutely. I didn't mean to cut you off there. No, it's all good. It's all good. Just double checking here for any other questions that we have. I don't see another question here other than, let's see. Oh, hold on. We have another comment here. Linda popped up. She does say, how do you translate your, oh, actually, no, that was the same question. I don't see any other questions, but she does say thank you. So thank you, panel. It says here, can a candidate get feedback on why they did not land the job?
Absolutely. I think that when we do a turn down, we offer why we didn't feel it was a good fit. So it goes back to try if there's a way to get that experience that we're looking for that we've talked to you about. You can always come back and reapply, but yeah, we'll give you honest feedback. I think that's the least we could do as employer, as interviewees, is be honest with you and tell you what we're looking for. So absolutely.
I think that could be one of the tough questions that that you might want to ask your potential employer in the interview process. So if you're going to come with questions, that's one of your questions is, hey, you know what? I've spent time here interviewing Mr. Employer. If I'm not the right fit, can I come back to you in a week or so and just kind of ask you why? And just see if the person you're interviewing with will be okay with that. Bob, Sheridan, and I, when we interview people, we give them our business cards. So you'll have my email address, you'll have my phone number, and if you don't hear back from me, feel free to reach out to me and just say, hey, we met. How are things going? And if it wasn't if it didn't go very well, then I'll tell you, and Bob will tell you that. But you should definitely ask that of your potential employer in the interview process, so that they know it's coming.
Very, very good. And I believe you will provide emails for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't see any more questions in the chat. But to my understanding here, and if you guys have any questions, we do have a couple minutes left. But if not, how can we contact Encore for opportunities? Is there a site, social media, LinkedIn? What's the best way to reach out to you guys?
I think Encore, I was at encoreglobal.com or Encore. Go to our website. You can look under careers and go from there. They said they'll list all the positions that are available throughout the country. But that's, we do post stuff on LinkedIn. But again, I can go into Encore, our website, and look for careers, and that's where you start.
Very good, very
And
good.
you can find all of us on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Be there.
LinkedIn, absolutely. I'll be following you guys on LinkedIn for sure after this. So look out for me. Look out for me. Let me see. I think Linda did put one more thing here. Best way to reach out to. Okay. Yep. Good. So she's just reiterating what what you guys said before in the session here. So, well, guys, thank you so much for this great opportunity for our students to listen to professionals, especially for this interview process. Again, that I mentioned before multiple times, an intimidating process, but a way of getting to know a candidate for the best of your company, right? You want the best in place for whatever you need as a company. And we always call it in basketball, you need your best starting five at the front of the line. So there's a process to it, and you guys hone that process. So we really do appreciate that insight, that counsel that you guys have provided. And we love Encore. Linda is always in communication with you guys. So we really do appreciate it.
Linda's a great partner.
Yes, she's very good, and we're hoping that she feels better because she's a little under the weather today as well. Oh, she's on mute.
Yeah, I'm usually the first one that jumps up, but I have a very little voice. Thank you so much. I have to tell you, what a great trio to be able to interview with. I would only hope for everybody that's listening, you have a chance to roll in on an interview with somebody like Caleb, who is just about as honest and even-keeled as anybody I've ever met, and I think that says a lot. Who doesn't want to work for a company where you're dealt a very honest hand, and that you're going to feel good within the culture because it's a good match on both sides. So, Robert, I get that same feeling with you, and Sheridan as well. You're just fabulous. I can't say enough about our friends at Encore. They have opened up many doors for our students and graduates who have really gone on to build amazing careers. So I thank you. We've come to our hour just on time. And so I invite you all to join us again in 2 weeks, where we're going to be talking about how to interview on the red carpet and open up some more ideas and opportunities for you with industry pros. And until then, I wish everybody good health and joy and a wonderful 2 weeks ahead. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.